right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video as today we break down what is going on with Jauan Jennings and what potentially could be coming next. And of course, this 49er football season is presented by Sleeper, the fastest growing fantasy platform in the world. It's the one-stop shop. You can get blazing fast news, real-time stats, group chat, season-long leagues, and of course, Sleeper picks for daily fantasy product. Use promo code Larry, Larry, and Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100. Links in the description below. Terms and conditions apply. And for my 49ers Seahawks week 1, I've already made my Sleeper entry. I'm going Jackson Smith and the Jigba with more than 5.5 receptions. Cooper Kupp with more than 39.5 receiving yards. I do think they're going to go to him quite a bit. And I kind of like Charbonnet this year for the Seahawks. I have him more than 32.5 rush yards. I also have McCaffrey in week 1 with an anytime touchdown. So there is my four player for week number 1. And $10 wager can make me $96.60. So I'm fired up about that. And let's talk a little bit, though, about Jauan Jennings, because is he going to be there? That's one of the big questions. In fact, the calendar turns from August to September on Monday, and it's a huge day in 49er land down in Santa Clara. The Niners will practice. I will be there, and we're going to find out whether Jauan Jennings is holding out, holding in, or if it's a legitimate calf injury, or if it's all of the above. But I do think we know when. I think we have a hard deadline on when he absolutely will return. I think my biggest fear is that he won't return until that hard deadline. So let's talk a little bit about the man we affectionately know as JJ. And, you know, I've said a bunch on this because we've talked endlessly about it, because this has been, you know, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. This has been the big topic in Niner land this entire offseason and this entire summer has been Jauan Jennings. When the Niners gathered for the first practice, it was like, is JJ going to hold out? Is he going to hold in? Is he going to no show? Is he going to demand a trade? What's going to happen? And they did a nice little PR sidestep by having him show up, practice for a couple days, and then duck out. And he hasn't practiced all summer. And the Niners are holding to the it's a calf. And now only recently they've kind of acknowledged that it's both. John Lynch just recently told us it's the calf and the contract. Two things can be equally true, I think was the way he said it. Okay, let's go through this, because I think there's some revelations here that we ought to really get to and really just kind of cut through the crap and get right to the brass tacks on this thing, because I'm impatient by nature. I know you guys are as well. So let's just get right to it. All right, first, let's start with Lynch. Lynch has come out and said it's both. Hey, it's the calf and the contract. Well, first of all, he has to say it's the calf. He has to say it's the calf. Simple as that. He has to come out and say it's a calf injury, because if it's not a calf injury, the very next question is, why, John, are you allowing a perfectly healthy receiver to sit out training camp without finding him a nickel, right? You haven't fined him a buck. He hasn't lost a penny in this situation. So it has to be the calf. Otherwise, we want to know, why are you allowing this player to hold out and not face any kind of fines? So it has to be the calf for that reason. So I think the real truth is that it's the contract. He's unhappy with his contract and he wants a new contract. Now, the 49ers, I think, with love, John Lynch loves Jauan Jennings, said he's his favorite player. Kyle Shanahan loves Jauan Jennings. And if you're sitting there going, Krug, explain to me the love here. I know JJ's a pretty good player and this and that, but why? Why do the 49ers love this player so much? And the reason is, and we could talk, I could give you all kinds of stats. I could shout out Super Bowl numbers and I could sit here and make my case ironclad, but I'll just cut right to the chase. He's a money player. He's tough as shit, and he's competitive as hell. That's it. He shows up when the money's on the table. He's tough as heck, and he'll fight you. He's competitive. He shows up for the dub. Shows up for the win, man. This guy's a competitor. Doesn't play for the girls, doesn't play for the money, though you probably could argue he does play for the money. But you know what? He really does throughout his career. He's a competitor. He shows up for the W. That's why everybody associated with the Niners, media, fans, ownership, teammates, everybody loves Jennings. If you could somehow, clone him, you would. That's how much they love him. He's money. You put the money on the table, and here comes Jennings. And he's super tough. He'll fight anybody, and he's super competitive. That's it. That's it in a nutshell. Now, I believe that the calf injury was originally legitimate for sure, but I also believe it's probably as good as it's going to ever get. He's had it for 6 months. He's rested it all summer. If it's not ready now, then I don't want to hear 1 second about his contract demands, because you've got the worst calf injury in the history of man. By the way, for a calf injury, if it really was the calf injury, don't you think by now we would have had lots of discussions about exactly the more exact nature of this injury? Have you noticed that we've had no particulars have been released on this calf injury? Is it a grade 1? I mean, you can look it up, right? You can Google calf strains and you can see all kinds of information. Is it a mild grade 1 strain that requires stretching and hydration, and you'll only miss a day or two and it's no big deal and it can be massaged out? Is it a grade 2 strain where they estimate the recovery time is 3 to 8 weeks? So if he had it in March or April, that he should have been ready to roll at the very latest by June. Or is it a severe grade 3 strain where there's actually a tear, a tear to it, and you're talking about 3 to 6 months of rehab and possibly a surgery if it's a grade 3 tear. It goes from 3 to 8 weeks for grade 2 to 3 to 6 months for grade 3. And we've asked Shanahan about, hey, how serious? It's not that serious. It's not that serious. Okay. So there's been no talk of surgery. Heck, when Lynch was asked the other day about imaging, he's like, we may have to get some more imaging done. You don't do imaging every day. When was the last? How about the follow-up? When was the last time you did imaging, and what did it show? We're not getting a lot of particulars on this calf injury. And is it because nobody's curious? We all lack intellectual curiosity? Or is it possible that nobody wants to spend too much time talking about something that's phantom to begin with? I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. See what you guys think. No conversations about, is it grade 1? Is it grade 2? Is it grade 3? There's no timeline, but it's not serious. I mean, Shanahan himself has told us there's no timeline, but it's not serious. These things are tricky. That's all that we've gotten, is these things are tricky. So I got to believe that even if it's a grade 3 minus the tear and the surgery, he's been nursing this thing for 6 months. And he's rested it all summer. So I got to think that calf is probably at least in as good a shape that it's going to get in. So to me, this looks like an old-fashioned contractual impasse. Now, we don't have a lot of data, and the Niners aren't talking to a lot of people, but they are talking to Tim Kawakami. And they told Tim that, who's reporting that Jennings and Rosenhaus want north of $20 million per year. Tim's also reporting that the Niners don't want to offer anything. They really don't want to. They're not interested in any kind of an offer, it sounds like. Now, we did talk to Lynch this week, and he didn't sound the same. That didn't necessarily jive with the way Lynch sounded to me. Lynch sounded to me like he's a huge fan of JJ and that he himself would be very willing to give a few extra bucks here. But, once again, if it's 20 north of 20 million on a long-term extension or nothing, it's going to be nothing. Okay. I don't think the Niners have any appetite for a big money long-term deal. No way. Not with balloon payments coming on the Brock Purdy contract in years 2 and 3. That's not happening, especially not for a backup receiver who's only been elevated to a top-tier receiver because your other guys got hurt. So now let's talk about JJ. Let's talk about, because I think he wants to play, and we're going to find out on Monday, the 1st of September. Is he going to play this week? And he's going to put all the contract stuff and the calf stuff aside, and it's just time to play? And I think there's a chance for that because the guy's a hell of a competitor. And he may just say, screw it, I'm playing. I want to play. I'll get paid in March. I wanted my contract. I thought we'd exercise some leverage. It didn't work out. I'm going to show up and I'm going to play in Seattle. Here we go. And then away you go. Now, right away, I mean, first of all, just because he's had this calf strain and the Niners are saying it's legit, I wouldn't sign anybody that had a 6-month-long calf strain to any long-term extension with any guaranteed money. That seems like GM negligence to me. But let's talk about it from Rosenhaus's point of view for a second. He needs one of two outcomes for JJ. He needs a big money, long-term deal for Jauan to stay in San Francisco. You could probably argue Rosenhaus, that's probably his preference. Come on, Niners. I know you paid Ayuk. I know you paid all these other guys, but let's take care of this guy. This is the guy that actually showed up on Super Bowl Sunday. I could see, Rosenhaus saying that. We want a big money, long-term extension. You want me to buy out my guy's free agency next March? That's fine, but we want long-term. We want 3 years, 4 years or more. We want big money to do it. And I don't think the Niners are going to bite on that. So that's what he wants. Or if he doesn't get that, I think they may play super hardball with the Niners. Now you say, Krug, what does that mean? I think Rosenhaus may just shell. I mean, they've already kind of shelled up. They should have put their guy on the field and let him take advantage of the fact that the Niners had, a very thin wide receiver core in September, but instead they held him out. He hasn't practiced in a month. So I kind of think they've shown their cards. I think Rosenhaus's second thing, the first thing, I want a big money, long-term deal for JJ with the Niners. That's number one for Rosenhaus. That's what he wants. What's number two? I need JJ to hit that unrestricted free agent market in March of 2026, 100% healthy and ready to roll. Well, how does Jennings stay 100% healthy? Well, I mean, if you're playing hardcore and you're playing hardcore negotiation, then you play hardcore to the end, which means, if he's as stubborn and as strong-minded as a negotiator with this holdout as he is as a player off the line of scrimmage, then get ready for a knockdown, drag-out, 15-round battle royale. And I think if you're the Niners, you better prepare yourself for that. How does Jennings stay 100% healthy? He stays 100% healthy by playing only as much as he has to. That's an interesting concept. What do you mean by that? Well, guess what? Holdouts don't accrue a season in the NFL. And if he doesn't accrue a season, he's not a free agent next year. Just simple as that. He's not a free agent if he doesn't accrue a full season. He's got to accrue a full season or he will not be a free agent. What is a full season, you may be asking? A full season is 6 regular season games. Not playoff games, regular season games. 6. And the way the rules are stated, an NFL player accrues a full season by being on the team for full pay status, for at least 6 regular season games. Now, this includes being on the active roster. It includes being on the inactive roster, the inactive list. It includes being on the IR. It includes being on the PUP. If you're on any of those lists for 6 weeks, you accrue an NFL season. Holdouts do not accrue an NFL season. So he can't hold out the whole year. He can't. He can hold out part of the year, but he can't hold out the whole year. All right, so when is he coming back? When's this thing going to end for sure? Well, it could end tomorrow. Could end on Monday, September 1st. He could show up and just say, hey, I'm playing in Seattle. I'll be there at Lumen Field. yeah, I want a new contract, and yeah, my calf's not 100%, but guess what? I'm a big game player, and there's a big game. It's week 1, and I'm going to be there. And I think that would be the smartest move. Now he'd lose a little face possibly because he's not getting that extension. And he might be a little bit embarrassed by that. And he's a very prideful guy. So I don't know if it's an ideal situation, but I think there's a chance that he shows up for week 1. But when does he have to show up? That's the question. When does he have to show up? This is the game log for the year. Okay, here's the schedule. So we'll just go to the back of the schedule. Seattle 1, Chicago 2, Indy 3, Tennessee 4. Then there's the bye week. Cleveland 5, Carolina 6. There it is, right there. November 24th, the Monday nighter at home against the Carolina Panthers. If JJ and Rosenhaus want to play super hard ball, I don't think it's wise. I think it's smarter for him to produce and take his chances on the injury front and take a chances that his guy's healthy next March with a great, put your head down, have a massive September, ride that to a $50 million contract with $25 million guaranteed. And now you've got generational wealth for your family and your kids. And, that's how I'd play my hand. But if he wants to not risk anything, if he says, you know what, right now, if I held out the whole year and go to free agency, at least my guy's in his prime still and healthy. He's not beat up. He doesn't take all the hits of this season. So they may play their hand that way. And so that is the date. Monday, November the 24th. That's the date. That's the date where JJ will be there. I guarantee it. If he's on the Niners and he's healthy, he will be there on the 24th against Carolina. Now, the problem is he may not be there until the 24th, November 24th. He will return against Carolina on November 24th. He will return. But he might not return until November 24th, which is roughly around the time that the Niners would be getting Ayuk back. It sounds like Ayuk and Jennings may come back at the same time. And you know what? Wouldn't that be interesting? And it's going to be interesting on a lot of fronts. It's going to be interesting to see how the Niners do without them, right? Who are their 5 receivers going to be in week 1 in Seattle? Ricky Pearsall, Russell Gage, Sky Moore off the practice squad. Or I should say Sky Moore. I should say Marquez Valdez-Scantling off the practice squad. Sky Moore, a special teamer, kick returner, punt returner. Those 4 guys. And then there'll be a 5th. And the Niners are working out Kendrick Bourne on Monday, so maybe it'll be Kendrick Bourne. Pearsall, Gage, Valdez-Scantling, Sky Moore, and Kendrick Bourne. There's also Jordan Watkins. And I really am a believer that Watkins is very special. And I think Watkins is going to be the guy who really plays well for the Niners this year and comes out of nowhere and produces and saves their bacon. I really believe it's going to happen. The Niners also have Robbie Chosen and Malik Turner and Junior Bergen on their practice squad right now, in addition to Valdez-Scantling. But they may sign Bourne on Monday, and it might have a lot to do with JJ's decision. If JJ comes back tomorrow and says, hey, I'm playing Sunday, I'll be at Lumen Field, then Kendrick Bourne will head off to Washington on Tuesday, and he'll probably sign with the Commanders. If JJ says, you know what, I'm not going to be there, and I don't know when I'm going to be there, then the Niners have to prep without him, and maybe they sign Bourne and make him active. Or maybe they sign Bourne and put him on the practice squad and let Jordan Watkins, be active as the 5th wide receiver. But what's really going to be interesting is if JJ and Ayuk do wait until roughly Thanksgiving to come back. Maybe Jennings because of holdout and maybe Ayuk because of this injury. I mean, not maybe, definitely. What are they going to return to? Are they going to return to a wide receiver core that is desperate for them? Or are they going to return to a wide receiver core that, hey, guess what? Ricky Pearsall and Jordan Watkins have really stepped up. And these guys are kind of carrying the load and doing a nice job. And they're being supplemented by some veterans like Moore and Gage and Valdez Scantling and maybe Bourne or Chosen, and they're doing okay. So it's going to be interesting to see how this shakes out. But I would mark that date down as far as Jauan Jennings goes. If he just plays ridiculous hardball and they just say, you know what? We want 20 to 22 million. We're not taking anything less, and we're not playing otherwise. And I'll let my guys sit out all year. Well, when he makes that statement, just remember, an NFL player has to play 6 regular season games to accrue a full season. So whether he talks a big game or not, come week 12 against Carolina, JJ is going to be out on that field if he's still a 49er. The other factor in this, and this is another factor, is the 49ers right now, have Bourne, they're Bourne coming in for a workout tomorrow, but then you've got Pearsall, Gage, Valdez, Scantling, Sky Moore, Jordan Watkins with the high ankle sprain. That's their wide receiver core, those 5 guys. Bourne would be number 6, and then you got Chosen, Malik Turner, Junior Bergen. If there was an injury, or if Jordan Watkins wasn't healthy, or somehow Bourne is too old, doesn't look right, doesn't look healthy, I don't think Junior Bergen or Malik Turner are going to be promoted to the active roster. I think they'll look around and find somebody else. Now, who are some other practice squad receivers that the rules state that you can't take somebody off another team's practice squad and put them on your own. You have to promote them to the active roster. But let's just say the Niners wanted to go with 5 receivers and Watkins isn't ready and JJ is not going to sign and or not going to show up, and Bourne looks old and bad and at the workout, and they're looking for another receiver, and they got Pearsall and Gage and Matt Valdez Scantling off the practice squad and Sky Moore, but they're looking for one more. For a week, I think they'd probably promote Robbie Chosen for a week. But I'm looking at some of these other teams around the league and their practice squad receivers. There's some interesting guys. McCole Hardman is a veteran receiver who can run a lot of gadget plays and did in Kansas City and was a Niner nemesis. He's on Green Bay's practice squad. Malachi Corley is on the Browns practice squad. Interesting player. Nick Nash from San Jose State, who was a prolific college receiver, is on the Falcons practice squad. Hey, if you wanted to truly have that unique, burner, prospect type guy, Isaiah Nair is on, Green Bay picked him up. They put him on their practice squad. They cut him. They cut him from the roster. They put him on the practice squad. They're developing him. You had him this summer. He's huge. Got great range. You could try to work out an Isaiah Nair. And then there's one more name that I think is a name that Niner fans ought to keep in mind, and that's Robert Woods, the former Ram. And he's a veteran receiver, and I don't know how much he's got left in the tank, but he's tough. He knows how to run routes. He's on the Steelers practice squad. And if for some reason you look up and Bourne's too old and Watkins is hurt, or maybe Watkins isn't hurt, but maybe you have an injury a week or two in, and you're looking at Malik Turner and Junior Bergen going, no. And you're looking at Robbie Chosen going, God, is there anybody out there? Robert Woods. Once upon a time, Robert Woods was a very good receiver with the Rams. I'm sure he would love to join the Niners and play the Rams. And he might be the kind of route runner, tough guy, receiver that the Niners need, to play. He's not a developmental player. He's a veteran, but he'll help you win games on Sundays for sure. So there you go. I kind of think Jordan Watkins is going to show up and really surprise, and I think the Niner fans are going to love what they see with Jordan Watkins. But Monday, September 1st, is JJ Day. It was like we had JJ Day at the beginning of training camp, and the Niners did a nice little PR sidestep. Here he is. He's not holding out. He loves to play. He's showing up and playing, and all these people are like, JJ is the best. He's just going to show up and play. Oh, yeah, but then 2 days later, he had a calf injury and hasn't been seen since. And nobody remembered him hurting the calf in practice. So little bit of a PR sidestep, I think. But you know what? it saved them a lot of questions for Shanahan, a lot of stories. There were a lot fewer stories written about this. We would have been JJ holdout day 7, day 14, day 19. It would have been a constant drumbeat. Where's JJ? What's up with JJ? It would have been an absolute massive distraction. And they sidestepped it for a month. But now here we are. And it's the Monday of week 1. And there's no more sidestepping. He's either going to be there and he's ready to roll. And I guess that calf was good enough, right? Or he's not going to be there. And then they're probably going to have to sign somebody else. They're probably going to have to start doing some imaging. They're probably going to have to start doing some I mean, right now they're all on the same side. Niners love JJ, and they've been trying to give him a wide berth and, buy themselves some time. But we're here. And according to what Tim's reporting, he wants north of 20 million, and that ain't happening. So we're at an old-fashioned impasse. And then the question is, how professional is he going to be if he comes back without an extension? Is he going to be a total pro? Hopefully. Or is he going to be really, really unhappy in a team setting in the locker room about his individual contract? So it's something worth watching for sure. Monday, will he be there? Will he not be there? It's a major, major story. If he's not there, maybe Kendrick Bourne is there. If he's not there, maybe Jordan Watkins is there. If he's not there, maybe they'll pick up another receiver somewhere else. But Monday is a big day. And once again, if all you got out of this is, hey, give me the timeline on this thing. The timeline, I think, is pretty clear. 6 weeks. He needs to accrue 6 weeks to become a free agent in March. So if they play super hardball, he may not show up until November 24th, Monday nighter against the Carolina Panthers, which would just be amazing because you're talking about showing up in week 12. Wow. That's as much time as he has to play with. He can screw around with this and play these games and do whatever he wants for 12 weeks. But if he wants to be a free agent in March, and we know he does, he will be there on the field Monday, November 24th against the Carolina Panthers. So there you go. Now it's like, who's going to blink first? How's this going to go? Should be very, very interesting. All right. Big thanks to Sleeper. Remember, use the code Larry for 100% deposit match up to $100. That's right. The link's right in the description. Terms apply. Help support the show and get you rolling on the #1 sports app. Big thanks to Sleeper. And thanks to all of you guys for supporting The Krug Show on YouTube